provided to the public and the press on January 7th, 2020, and was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Okay,
Council,
roll call, please.
Vice President Ornberger,
Here.
Councilmember Murphy. Here. Councilmember Van Tassel. Councilmember Weller. President Shortway.
Present.
Here, sorry.
It's okay. Can you hear me, Kelly?
Yes, I can hear you. You guys hear me okay?
I believe so. Okay.
Salute to the flag, please. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, if Paul G. Mealy can come step up forward and bring Mom and Dad, please. So Paul Jr. here is one of our, probably the newest Eagle Scout right in town. And if you see these nice, beautiful benches around town also, that was his Eagle Scout project. So we'd like to give this proclamation to you for all the great work, and I know how hard you work, and every one of those badges means something, so thank you. Whereas, since its establishment in 1911, the Eagle Scout Award represents the highest ranking within the Boy Scouts of America. And whereas, qualifying for his prestigious badge requires considerable perseverance for hard work and dedication, which few scouts attain, and that Paul Mealy accomplished at the youngest age of 13. And whereas Paul G. Mealy Jr., member of Troop 912, a Glen Meadow student who is president of the National Junior Honor Society and editor-in-chief of the yearbook, has earned many merit badges, including camping, citizenship, environmental science, cooking, photography, and emergency preparedness, among many others. And whereas Paul has fulfilled his major community Eagle Scout project by designing and constructing 12 Adirondack-style benches at the Maple Grange and Veterans Memorial Parks for residents and visitors to use and enjoy. And whereas through hard work, loyalty, community service, and helpfulness, Paul has realized his goal of achieving the rank of Eagle Scout. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Township of Vernon that sincerest congratulations are hereby extended to Paul G. Mealy Jr. for this commendable achievement in receiving the prestigious Eagle Scout Badge Award as a member of Boy Scout Troop 912, presented January 27, 2020, by Mayor Howard L. Burrell and myself. Again, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, would you please, Ms. Murphy?
Have the proclamation for Special Olympics Month. Whereas the Special Olympics is founded on the belief that people with intellectual disabilities can, with proper instruction and encouragement, learn, enjoy, and benefit from participation in individual and team sports, adapted as necessary to meet the needs of those with special intellectual and physical limitations. And whereas Special Olympics events provide youngsters with individual challenges and inner satisfaction of success and accomplishments. And whereas the Special Olympics have been competing in Vernon for 4 decades, and genuine Jersey pride defines Special Olympics New Jersey, which celebrates the impact they have on all who participate, as well as those privileged to witness the magic every time an athlete with an intellectual disability takes the slopes, reaches a goal, achieves a personal best time, or simply experiences the joy of participation. And whereas Special Olympics helps each youngster learn to play hard and compete to the fullest so as to achieve a success cycle and overcome a pattern of failure and frustration that often plagues mentally challenged youngsters who have not had the opportunity to play, practice, compete, and achieve. And whereas the Special Olympics helps each youngster develop self-respect, self-discipline, self-confidence, physical, social, emotional, and mental fitness, positive values such as sportsmanship, responsibility to team, and respect for others, the will to succeed, and the ability to achieve their maximum potential. Now, therefore, the Council of the Township of Vernon do hereby proclaim February as Special Olympics Month in Vernon Township, and we thank the participants of the Special Olympics for choosing Vernon to hold their events. Given under the hand of these free United States in the Township of Vernon on this 27th day of January, 2020, and to which I have caused the seal of the Township of Vernon to be affixed and have made this proclamation public. Howard Burrell, Mayor. Harry Shortway, Council President.
Thank you. It really is, if you have the opportunity, a great event to go up to Mountain Creek and watch this. To see these adults and upper teenagers perform up there at Mountain Creek is just phenomenal. They come down with the torches, and it's a lot of fun just engaging and talking with these people. And they come from all over the state. So if you have the opportunity, treat yourself. And really, you're going to be amazed at how wonderful these people are. Okay, next we're going to go to public comments. Please note, public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person on current agenda items only. May I have a motion to open the floor to public comments?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Someone like to step up? Yeah, Mr. Dunlop, and please state your name for the record and part of town you're with, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Steve Dunlop, Williamsville Estates. The last 2 or 3 times I came before the council wasn't very pleasant. I've had my issues with the council and probably still do, but I'm just here tonight on your resolution 20-65. In 1992, the town took over our streets, Higgins Drive and Walsh Way, and it had the first coating, was supposed to have the second coating of asphalt. It didn't get done. They came back in 1995 and charged every resident an assessment, and still didn't get done. I approached 2 managers, town managers, and 3 mayors, and it wasn't until last year that the former mayor, now the president of the council, took action and got it paved. There were horrible holes in it. It was eroding under the curb. It was in very bad shape. And I just want to thank the council for taking the action they did. It was long overdue. We'll never know what happened to the money or why it didn't happen the way it was supposed to, but it's happened now, and I appreciate it. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening, Ms. Holmes.
Hello. Let me put my glasses on so I can see everybody. Oh, hi, everybody. My name is Sandy Ohms, Vernon. I just want to make a comment about the salary ordinance. And I want to thank you for updating the salary ordinance online. The update allowed the opportunity for the taxpayer to compare the previous salary ranges from the last year to the increased salary ranges for this year. But to be more transparent, I would have liked to see what the name of the employee underneath that salary range and their current salary. So to be really transparent and putting it all out there, who that employee is and what their current salary is. And before you vote on this, just remember there was some hefty increases in that salary range. And in that salary range, if it's in, big increases can be given as long as it falls in the range during the budget. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Are matters of Airbnb to be heard now, or is that?
They're on the agenda, yes.
Mr. Mayor and Council, my name is Tom Keene. I'm a new resident to your town. I moved here 2 years ago upon my retirement as a police officer. I really enjoy this town, the quality of life that it offers myself. I'm a single father raising 2 daughters. And so far, with every weekend that passes, the quality of life has been deteriorating due directly to an Airbnb located I live in the condos, in an adjacent unit. With every passing weekend, there is another passing beer party, loud music until 5 a.m., urinating in the parking lot, defecating in the parking lot. The high point of these lows was one weekend in this past fall, a porno movie was filmed in that unit. I would ask all of you how you would approach that subject with your daughters. I cannot directly confront or bring this to the owner's attention. The owner is not there. The owners have never been there. It is a vacant property, strictly used as an Airbnb, a hotel room, whatever you call it. Now, also, I'd like to say, I have no axe to grind with the theory of Airbnb. If there are rules and regulations to address and remedy these quality of life issues, which deteriorate not only my quality of life, my daughter's quality of life, the neighborhood as a whole, the township as a whole. I have nothing against the idea. Put some well thought out, well-meaning, powerful regulations to stem this. If you are an Airbnb owner, that's fine. If you have good people that are using your facilities, you have nothing to worry about. If you don't, however, the only people that are paying for it now are people such as myself, my 2 daughters, the community in the condos, and the greater community of Vernon on a whole. It affects everybody. It truly does. Not just a loud party here and there. Everybody has to deal with that. But when you go outside and you find yourself picking up the mess that other people make out of fear that if you don't, your homeowners association fees will go up because they have to hire somebody to come in and clean up the mess that other people have made, I think that anybody's patience would be worn thin, notwithstanding enduring what I previously had stated, the pornographic movies being filmed there. And everyone seems to turn a blind eye to it. And I don't know what the remedy of this should be, what course of action should take. I'm not against Airbnb in theory or on a grander scale, but something should be done to prevent these things from happening. I would think that this is why people would rather rent an Airbnb, because it gives them some cloak of protected status, because if that were happening in one of the hotels and motels in town, it wouldn't be tolerated. But because they can operate in the shadows of, is there a regulation, is there not a regulation, in the meantime, they're not affected. But the homeowners and the residents of the town are. I yield back my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Lisa Gocklin. I've lived in Highland Lakes for 28 years. I really agree with the previous gentleman. I feel the quality of life in Highland Lakes will go down. I know a lot of people use their cabins and such as Airbnb. Parking is an issue. Parties are an issue. It's a family community. I know each community is different within Vernon, so I don't know what the solution is. Like he was saying, maybe treat each one differently. I'm not sure. But Highland Lakes, I feel, has been a great place to raise my kids, thanks to that man right there, Jack. He runs a very tight ship. We appreciate it. But it has been a safe place. I've never felt I had to lock my door, lock my cars. But when we have a constant influx of transients in and out of the community, it really creates a problem. They don't have any investment in our community like we do. We live here. We care about our schools. We care about our children, our families, our neighbors. They don't live here. So they come in, they party, they trash, and they leave. I just feel with transients in and out, it lowers the integrity of the community, it lowers the safety. It just creates a really, really bad atmosphere. I feel we should maybe be proactive in nipping this in the bud before it creates a bigger problem. This man already has a huge problem. You know, he has children. I think it's disgusting that that's allowed. But rather than wait for townships to go downhill and then do something, be more proactive and kind of nipping it in the bud before, you know, something really, before the crime rate really goes up. You know, I don't feel residents should have to put fences up, put cameras up, start locking things up because there's parties every weekend at the house next door. So I moved to Highland Lakes from Fairlawn, where I grew up, because it was a safe neighborhood, loved it, great growing up. I didn't feel safe there anymore. So I moved up here, and I'm starting to feel that way again. Transients are in and out, and it just creates a really bad atmosphere. But thank you for all you do. I know you're not here for the money, so so I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello. Hi.
We're tag team here, so.
Yeah, I'm Mike Maniscalco. This is my wife, Judy. We're with them. Okay. Everything they've experienced.
What was your
Sorry?
last name? Your last name.
Maniscalco. Maniscalco. We're with them. Everything with the exception of my knowledge of any porno being filmed, I've pretty much experienced, and so has my wife. We have the misfortune, or the displeasure, I should say, of living on a corner lot. So we have an Airbnb on this side of us, and we have one right across the street over there. So we got two.
Can I just interrupt? Where do you live? What
We're in
side?
Highland Lakes on
Highland
Hillside
Lakes,
Road.
okay. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to turn it over to my wife.
So
I'd like her-
really, we just have a couple points here of things that have happened that you guys really should be aware of. Really, this is nothing more than a motel. On almost a daily basis, we have new people next to us and in front of us coming in. Now, these are people, we've seen license plates from Oregon, California, Texas. We don't know where these people are coming from. Hey, all right, whatever, it's your life. But it's a motel, okay? They have zero vested interest in our area, our neighbors, and our neighborhood. We have parties until the early morning hours, okay?
We don't have parties. We witness
No,
parties.
yeah,
at
we
the
don't have parties.
Airbnbs.
But we can party with the best of them, but
We party too.
yeah. But really, I mean, they just don't care because they don't have anything to worry about. They're not background checked. We've already had a New York State detective at our door asking us to identify a woman in a mugshot who stayed at the Airbnb next door, okay? We moved up here 5 years ago from Passaic Clifton border, where the day before we moved, we had a murder on our street, okay? We moved up here to be a little bit safer, and we are definitely not, I'm not feeling safer up here, and I know Mike is not feeling safer up here. We've had to invest over $500 of our personal money because people aren't familiar with the area. They keep knocking over our mailboxes. They keep driving up on our lawn, and we had to get an outdoor security camera for the one side of our house. If the houses are going to be treated like motels, they should be regulated like motels. They should have health and safety inspections like motels. They should be zoned as motels and subject to the same fees and taxes. These are security and safety concerns with a constant changing group of people, and they always seem to be in a party mindset. So I would really like for you guys to take this into consideration, that thank goodness we're not the only ones here that feel this way. And thank you very much for your time. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Come on up, please do.
After hearing these people, and I know what they're saying is true. I've lived in the condos for 8-9 years.
Would you just please
Fortunately,
state your name for the record, please?
oh, Anita Pivarato. Fortunately, I live down below and I have a good unit of 12. But I know other people, and they were friends of mine, and what they have gone through What these people tend to do, they'll rent a unit where only 3 people are allowed to sleep in it. They've had as many as 10 people sleeping there. It just really causes havoc, and it's not fair to these people. It's just not fair. So I really just had to get up and say something because I know what goes on there. Thank God I don't live there, because I might get beat up for saying something to them. But fairness is fairness, and it's certainly not fair to those people. That's
you,
all I
Anita.
want to say to you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Please do.
Hi.
Hi.
Peg DeStassi, Silver Spruce Drive. I've lived here for 35 years. I would like to make a recommendation of something that can be added to the bill. As the township is going to be receiving money for the 3% or whatever percent you end up with, that maybe they should hire somebody to be a police, not a policeman, but police these places on a regular basis. Take some of that money and allocate it towards having, I don't know what you want to call the person, but somebody that receives phone calls, that when people are having problems like this, they can call in and have somebody go there. And the other thing that I thought might be a good idea is, would it be possible to add a fee on to the rental fees to the owner for that expense? Bill the owner directly. I mean, I know some owners live in, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and have a management company that manages it here locally. So maybe they should be billed $100 a weekend or something to cover the cost of having a local policing program, so that these people don't have to live this way, because it's atrocious. We're the residents. We should come first, and those young children should not be subjected to this kind of activity, and people should not have to live in fear in their own home here in this town. So thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, excuse me, question. Will the floor be open when the second reading is introduced?
Yes.
Thank you.
Actually, Jack, what's going to happen is, I'm going to make some, with council's permission, Ms. Murphy brought up certain problems with it, and I'd like it to amend it, and it'll be introduced, and then the second hearing would actually, if the council chooses to do this, next month, the next meeting.
Well, don't we have to have public, we have to still open it to the public even if we table it, don't we, since it's on the agenda?
Sure, I think what the mayor's suggesting are amendments.
Right, but I'm just saying is, but we will, to Jack's question, we still have to
It could
open
be
it.
tonight, or it's going to be whatever the first meeting is
Right, but
in
I'm just saying
February.
is, we still have to open it to the public.
Sure.
Since that was his question.
Are there going to be any workshops? Can the public come and participate?
Well,
and hear about what's being done?
Sean, we don't want to get into a debate over this, but I'll just answer this one question. No, what we have, we've worked on this for 20 months. I'm going to ask the council to make the amendments, and then we'll hear it on the next meeting. Because we took a lot of stuff that, Jack, you've said previous meetings. Anybody else desire to come up? Come on up, back.
I think only a crazy person would come up and say he's an Airbnb renter. I get it. I get what
Could
they're
we
saying.
just have your name and
I'm
area?
John McNally. I
Thank
live
you.
in Highland Lakes, and I have an Airbnb property that I use for Airbnb. We use it ourselves as well. And I have found by using Airbnb that it gives transparency so people can see what kind of rental we are. We insist on multiple good reviews, no first-timers. If I had that horror show, I don't know how, you're a policeman, I don't know how you didn't have the place rated, or maybe you did. But it's a nightmare to have bad neighbors. Neighbors tell me, I've been coming since 1970. It's been a regular place for me. I bought my first house on the main lake probably 25 years ago. Business changed. I couldn't afford to keep it. I had to sell it. I have a great space. I advertise for families and children. People come and tell me this is the greatest thing in the world. We advertise this is a quiet place. They don't want the lights on. Our neighbors or people who rented, and I found out my neighbor was selling. I called them up. I said, no, you want to buy. That's 2 people who rented from me. I rented back in the 80s, and I bought. I have roots in the community. I will probably be buried on Route 94, or wake there. That this is my community. I love it here. To rent to people who say, this was amazing. We say, we have potty seats, we have high chairs, we have booster seats, we want families. Multiple good reviews. It has to be scrutinized. But if people who are just in it for the money, like they're talking about, that's a nightmare you're going to get. But if you break the backs of Airbnb renters who promote, this is fresh water. This is an hour and 5 minutes from New York City. Mayor Burrell said, Vernon is open for business. I don't want everybody constantly going everywhere who come here to go to Warwick. Vernon should have places that people want to be in. But it has to be the right thing. It has to be the right people. It has to be regulated. My Airbnb is crystal clear. These are our neighbors. You bring everything indoors at 10 o'clock. We make sure our lights are all on timers. We want to be part of the community, and we don't want our backs broken because there are bad renters. There are bad drivers, but we still let everybody else drive. There are people who abuse alcohol. We still can have a glass of wine in our dinners. Bad renters should be shut down. We advertise multiple, I think I turn away fully more than a third of anybody who tries to rent with us. I can't trust it. I don't want to be part of that nightmare. And there are enough people that want to rent. But to write things in a way where, in order for people to come here, they need to give more information than you need to get in the White House. It just doesn't make sense to try to break the back and say Vernon is open for business when it's so difficult. The only thing we're missing is a blood test. That it can't be that good renters get punished for bad renters. That it's an easy way to see who they are, how they advertise, what they do, who their people are. That renters like that, I don't know how that's not shut down. That's not who a lot of, there's a lot of Airbnbs, but the ones that poke everyone in the eye, they're going to get all the ire of everybody. I'm doing what I feel like is a good thing, showing people this is a beautiful place. People can rent because they need the money, or they just want the money, and or you have something that goes wrong in your house, and then you do it to not just for yourself, but to give people this tremendous, beautiful place. Vernon, Highland Lakes is gorgeous. Promoting that is different than go have a party. First thing we say, no parties, no events. Multiple good reviews. If you don't have it, well, you're done. There should be more regulation. If you push it underground, you won't know who you're getting. You don't know how they're getting them there. You can see Airbnb. You can see what's going on with it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Come on.
Joan Bono, Highland Lakes. I heard firsthand about Airbnb. I've seen it. It's noisy. Voices travel on the lake. People are down at the dock dancing salsa music all hours of the night until 2 o'clock in the morning. Neighbors are afraid to call the police for retribution. That's one thing. The second thing is Airbnbs are cheap, which will bring in riffraff. And we really don't want Seaside Heights north here. Seaside Heights is cleaning up. Why should we take their mess? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lou Blaine. I live over off of 565 and up on Acres Court. We were thinking of letting out one of our bedrooms on an occasional basis as an Airbnb. We're effectively in the woods. We're not near any of the lakes. We're not near any. We're 10 minutes from Mountain Creek, but we're really in the boonies. there should be some mechanism, some kind of differentiation for, you take a situation like ours where we're going to be living in the same house as our Airbnb. There's going to be no parties, there's going to be no smoking, there's going to be beautiful views, you can go out and play with the deer or do it. But given the fee structure as it appears now, it's not reasonable for us to even think about renting out our one bedroom on an occasional basis, given the fee structure will be in the hole, because we're not doing this on a weekly basis. We're doing this on maybe a couple of weekends in the winter, a couple of weekends in the summer. I agree with the previous speakers that we don't want to be seaside north. There has to be some mechanism for coming down really hard and really fast on the party problem. Now, Airbnb in their literature say that they have increased their own internal security, and they have a much stronger vetting process, and they've been addressing these concerns. That is to be seen. I mean, they're talking good about it, but I don't. From what I'm hearing, that has not gotten out to the field yet. But they're aware of the issue, because we've communicated with them, and because we don't want to have strange people coming in, you know. But I think there should be some kind of differentiation between an absentee owner who's renting out a property and somebody who's actually renting out a bedroom or a suite within their own primary residence, where there's a lot higher level of oversight and security.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Lou. Appreciate it. Good evening.
My name is Eric Samick. I live in Highland Lakes, across the street from the meeting's rental property from the first meeting. If it wasn't for the fact that I have a large expanse of glass on that side of the house, I'd never know that anything or anybody is occupying the property. I like the idea of having activity. It's a recreational town. It can get a lot of benefit from that kind of activity, and especially up in the lake area. And it's nice having good neighbors. That's it.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
My name's Russ Ferber. I've been living in Vernon for 38 years. And my experience with Airbnbs is completely different from theirs. I've been an Airbnb host, an Airbnb guest, and we have an Airbnb down the street. And I've probably been annoyed more by some of our permanent residents rather than Airbnb, with people with their dirt bikes and their all-terrain vehicles. But you can vet some of the people that come into Airbnb. You can look at their reviews. You can get comments from past places they've stayed. So I don't think, all you need to stay at a hotel is a credit card and a phone, and you can stay there. But Airbnb does give you the opportunities to vet people out. We've had sisters who come up here every year because they want to revisit Vernon, where they grew up. We've had people come up for weddings, family reunions. We do everything we can to not make it a party house. We won't rent to a group of young kids under 24. There's just certain things we can do to make sure we know why those people are coming and what they have planned, and we can decline them.
And having a limit of how many people can stay within a property has been huge too. We only allow 6 people. But just to back up a little bit, I want to mention that I lived in the condo for 15 years and had more problems with neighbors. They rent out those condos. We had people upstairs with ski boots on half the time. They're there for a weekend or 2 weekends and then they're gone. People throwing things over the sides of the railing at the condos. So these problems exist far beyond Airbnb. In the lake that I live in now, we've had neighbors across the street that the house should have been condemned for 4 years. She had no plumbing. She had no lights. You could smell it when you get out of the car, when you walk in and out of the house. Nobody did anything about that. We've got a house 2 houses down from us that has been occupied by a family that hasn't taken the garbage out in years. There's rats running around. Nobody does anything about that. These are permanent rental residents. Now, we vet our people. Yes, they stay short-term. They come, they love it. They abide by our rules, the house rules that we set down, which, by the way, are in line with the town regulations as far as quiet hours and no parties. We have a dock. They're not allowed to be on the dock screaming and hollering, swearing, which my neighbor 2 docks down does constantly till 4 o'clock in the morning. We've had to call the police on them. So I feel like, you know, this is actually a resolution to a rental problem in Vernon. Vernon is a resort town. People are renting, whether they're doing it through Airbnb or not. You know, at least Airbnb is regulated. You know, we rate them, they rate us. And if they have a 3-star rating, I don't want them staying in my property. I don't want problems with my neighbors. I don't want my house wrecked. I don't want to have to repaint. I mean, these are our properties. We want people taking care of them. We don't want riffraff coming in. We don't allow riffraff. We have riffraff living in our neighborhood. Certainly not the short-term rentals.
The other thing I would like to add too, I read the ordinance 3 times, and I think whoever wrote it, I can see they put a lot of thought into it. I don't have a lot of complaints about it. I think a fire inspection twice a year is a bit much, but it seems pretty reasonable to me.
Airbnb does have set rules too. We do have to have the smoke detectors. Things have to be working. You know, we have to upkeep the property, or people don't give us a good rating. They spend money to come. They pay a fee, we pay a fee, we pay a higher tax on the income that we make from Airbnb. So to be charged again, to be taxed again is just unfair when other renters don't have to do it. And let's face it, we live in this resort town, we all know the hotel doesn't pay their stuff. So to ask us to pay our stuff, I think is really unfair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Come on up, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
When I last saw you, you asked for pictures and things to be emailed to you.
They did.
Since there were such large files, I actually printed out pictures for your convenience.
Thank you.
Is that all right to approach?
Yeah, come on, please.
This has both pictures of some of the issues we deal with as well as the ad for the property.
Thank you.
I gave you one last week, is that okay?
Yes, I said.
Thank you.
I want to make you feel, well, there's 2 there. That's okay if you want to give.
Okay.
Is there any way to put the
Thank you so very much.
I'm sorry? I'm coming up, I'll be right there,
If you
sorry.
could, excuse me, if you could give the clerk so she could have them for the other council. Is that Ruffling?
Ruffing, yes.
Ruffing?
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Ruffling, it's Highland Lakes again, right?
Correct.
Okay,
My name
thank
is Will Ruffing. I live in Highland Lakes. Once again, good evening, Mayor Burrell, council members, and staff. The last time I addressed the council, I was advocating for not allowing short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods, which I'm still in favor of. However, that is no longer, it doesn't appear that that's a feasible request, as the town does view allowing short-term rentals as a way to generate income. I understand. In my opinion, this is short-sighted, because short-term rentals disrupt the tranquility of residential neighborhoods, because short-term renters are just here for a good time. It reduces property values, as no one wants to live next to a short-term rental, nor would anybody want to buy a house that's next to one. But most importantly, it puts Vernon residents at increased risk as renters with vacation mentalities that have no ties to the community or care how it affects local residents because they're just visiting. They have no real vested interest other than being here to have fun. What I'm requesting this evening is that you amend the ordinance 2004 and reinstate the language that short-term rentals in neighborhoods zoned residential must be the owner's primary residence. Why do I ask this? First, it's my understanding that it was originally in the 2019 proposed ordinance, but was removed. Why was it taken out? Based upon the arguments I heard from a former council person who would rent out their primary residence. This concept is actually what Airbnb marketing started as. Rent out a room in your home. Or if you're going to be traveling to Paris, let somebody from Paris live in your home. It was like a trade-off. My rebuttal is that it increases safeguards because it improves the vetting process, as people who rent out their home where they live most of the year will be more selective as it is their home, not just a building purchased solely for commercial use. There are reasons why hotels are not permitted in areas zoned residential. These unsupervised, whole house short-term rentals are technically rogue hotels with no accountability. Many short-term rental properties are purchased with the sole purpose of making it a short-term rental, not their home. It's solely a business venture in a non-commercial residential neighborhood. So they're fine renting to anyone, including groups holding events such as bachelor and bachelorette parties, wedding showers, events that should be held at banquet halls and restaurants. Please note that when events are held at the appropriate commercial locations, sales taxes are collected. Employees and staff have the appropriate taxes withheld, taxes that fund Social Security, Medicare, which benefit hardworking, honest local taxpayers because those employees are paid on the books. Please see the ad for the property that's next to me that I enclosed, which states no parties, pets, or events, yet all three are common occurrences as seen in the photos attached and submitted to you. Please note these pictures are just a snapshot, as there are many videos to substantiate my opinions and complaints. My greatest concern is safety. As a former hotel owner in a resort town, I have firsthand knowledge of what people do in resort communities. In addition to excessive drinking and partying, we had a guest who rented a private chalet. After 4 days of him not allowing our housekeeper into the room, we entered, as it was our stated policy. We found the room filled with ski and snowboard equipment that he was stealing from the mountain daily. Had we not discovered this, he would have disappeared and the police would have had no clue as to what was going on. Please note, having a contact person nearby, not next to, or not on site, is really not supervising. I've witnessed a person who is supposedly the supervisor or contact person walk or pass by when these events are occurring, and they simply look the other way. Why? Because everyone wants to get paid. Why should they want to rock the boat and disrupt that? The only persons who do not benefit are those who live next to these short-term rental properties. I've rented homes in New Jersey in the past. Part of the requirement for the certificate of occupancy was that all current potential people staying there must be disclosed and put on the certificate of occupancy. After 9/11, hotels required all guests to show valid photo ID for each room rented. License plates for all cars on the premises needed to be submitted to the front desk. And in unsupervised short-term rental, there is no front desk, security, or staff on site to oversee and ensure that renters are in compliance with the laws of the community. I appreciate that these issues are being discussed by the council members. My concern is how they will be enforced. So I was hoping you could go into detail, which I'm sure it sounds like you will, as far as how the enforcement of these policies will go into effect. Also, please consider limiting the amount of renters allowed in a single-family home based on the size of the property lot, not the size of the house. 6 or less for a property less than a half acre. How many of you live next to a single-family home that have 10 or more people living in it? To summarize, and as a person who, as I told you before, my grandfather bought this land back in the 50s when Highland Lakes was established. So we have a long reputation in the community. I'm requesting that you please amend the ordinance 2004 to state that the properties being used as short-term rentals that are located in areas zoned residential, that the property owner must be their primary residence. The owners of these short-term rentals actively invite renters onto their property for a fee. However, their guests, their pets, their vehicles frequently trespass onto neighboring properties, block roads as seen in the photos I submitted. This which once again puts locals at risk, places the burden of dealing with unruly renters on neighbors to get laws enforced, and which ultimately takes away from our right to enjoy our properties. Please consider these changes while keeping in mind the safety and security of Vernon's residents who are taxpayers and voters. Non-resident owners may pay property taxes, but they do not vote. Thank you for consideration regarding this matter. We appreciate your time and hard work for the Township of Vernon. But please think about, would you like a group of new neighbors on vacation with a vacation mindset living next to you every few days? Thank you
sir.
very much for your time. And your hard work.
Anyone else? Good evening.
Council. Good
How
evening.
are you?
Patrick Carreri, Woodland Hills Drive. I started out last March sitting up there supporting short-term rental ordinance. As we went through it, we realized that there were some shortcomings, some things that really didn't make sense in it. And it still seems that way. And I don't mean it generally. Very specifically, we are a majority Lake Community Township. So the lake communities have their governing bodies that can impose additional regulations, I guess, beyond what we can do or what you can do here. So I'm speaking for my neighbors on the other side. We're not in lake communities. Most of the short-term rentals are in lake communities. So for those of us that are not in lake communities, they should be owner-occupied only. I mean, on my street, there's nothing to do. If someone is coming up for transient accommodations, I can't imagine why they would want to come to my street. I can't imagine why they would want to go to a lake community. And I say, let local government reign. Let the lake communities govern themselves. And it just occurred to me that we spent the better part of 2 years removing transients from legends. And now we're actually legislating bringing so-called transients back into Vernon. And it just doesn't sit right with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Robin Jenkins, Glenwood section. I happen to live next door to an Airbnb, and I think I had a very different experience because my neighbor seems to be like what this fellow that spoke earlier, who was the Airbnb owner, she's like him. She contacted me before it was going to happen. She provided me with her number, her husband's number, and then she subsequently provided me, she does use Airbnb, she provided me with an Airbnb number. In the 4 years or thereabouts that she's owned, I've only ever had to call her for one thing, and it was relatively minor, but she was on it right away, and that may not be everyone's experience. But I never had to use the Airbnb number until my folks who live nearby also had 2 Airbnbs, beside one immediately next and one across the street from them, owned by the same person. And they had not great tenants. So I thought, well, maybe I could just call that Airbnb number that my neighbor gave me. And sure enough, I called them, and they were very quick to respond, and they phoned me back telling me the course of action, which essentially was they contacted the owner of the property. They told us that if we felt it was to the level that police should be involved, by all means to call the police. And very promptly, I don't know how this occurred, but very promptly those people were not renting there anymore. And I mean, that seemed to be a good solution. So in my experience, Airbnb has been pretty helpful. I did read the ordinance, and I had some questions as to how is it going to, like, everyone keeps saying Airbnb, but I live in a lake community where people rent their houses out by means other than Airbnb. So how is that governed? And then I read also where, you're taking the information, like someone just said, you're getting, every bit of information about them. But how does that help anyone? Because my Airbnb neighbor contacted me and she said, here's my number, you can reach me. But if the people lived in wherever, they said, someone from Highland Lakes said their people live elsewhere, they don't even know who they are, how can they find that information out to be able to contact them? So that was a question that I had. I know the fee, it said was $350. And I think I heard at some previous meeting some discussion as to what that would be used for, but I just was hoping at some point someone would repeat that or clarify it. And is some of that money going to be used towards the fire inspections, or where does that come from? Is the fire inspection set up that they're going to suddenly be able to handle however many new properties they're going to be looking at? And if in fact, is it twice a year, biannually means 2 times in 1 year, or every other year, which apparently is some accepted English another accepted definition in the English language. And then also I noticed in the ordinance, it did specify the number of tenants permitted per bedroom size. I was wondering, how will that be policed? So I know you said you were going to make some possible amendments, and hopefully some of those things will be more clear once we see that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else?
Senator Vernon.
Good evening.
I wasn't going to speak about this issue tonight. You know, on its face, I think it's worth exploring. I know Council President Shortway, this has been an effort for quite some time for you, and I'm all about bringing revenue in the town. But it appears that, you know, every time people get up to this podium, we learn more. And I'm just curious as to why you'd be opposed to a workshop where maybe we could hold it on a Saturday where more people could access the town hall, because it's hard coming here 7 o'clock for commuters, it really is, on a weeknight. And I think this might be a matter of maybe not doing it or not doing it, but how it gets done. It sounds like there's a lot of arms and legs to this issue. I'm learning more and more just sitting here myself. You know, again, I'm not opposed to the idea, but I think the more input we can get, and these are the people that have the information. They know more than we do, it sounds like. I'm not speaking for you, but certainly more than I've ever known. And I think it's important to have a workshop on this it's a complex issue. That's what I'd like to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening.
My name is Krista Gary. I live in Vernon, and I'm just up here to say I agree with Sally. I think we should have a workshop. I think that would help. I think we need to have the B&B regulated. My son actually came up a couple of years ago for my birthday, and there were several other relatives that were here, and he couldn't stay in our house, and he went to B&B up at the condos. And when he went in there, the place was filthy. He said there were dishes all over, and it was so unexpected. So late at night, he had to go and try to get a room somewhere else, and he got reimbursed. But he was really surprised to see that. So I guess it should be regulated for both the people that are coming to the B&Bs and the ones that are renting. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Tom, coming up?
Good evening.
Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to try not to yell at you tonight. I think I was yelling at you the last time.
It's fine. I've been yelled at before.
My name is McClackery Thomas, and it's just a quick comment. It has nothing to do with what you've been talking about tonight. You have a number of resolutions on your agenda, and they concern payments, and they're defined payments. I could give you the resolutions, but you know them. And my question is, why don't you put the amount that this resolution is for on the agenda so that the public knows that on a change order, you're paying $200,000, let's say, on a $600,000 bill. And that's my only comment. It makes sense to me, and it makes it easier to understand exactly how much money you guys are spending. And I'd like to say thank you, and I'll talk to you later about the slaves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please do.
Hi, my name is Deb Geller, and I own an Airbnb in the condos. So I have never, ever had an issue. They take license plates numbers, you know, for them to get in and out of the security booth. You know, I have 100 5-star reviews and only allow people with 5-star reviews to rent. So, we make money, we pay tax on the money. I don't know how much more you can regulate, we have to insure with like Lloyd's of London to, have an Airbnb. Really expensive to get insurance on these condos. They require smoke alarms and everything else. So I'm not really, the hotel rents stuff around, which I have to tell you, I lived in my condo that I'm renting. The stuff that went on from, minerals, crazy. So I get it. I had tenants around me who, foreclosures and everything else. So, squatters in the condos. I realize that we've moved the bar somewhat, but I find it to be a really, I stay at Airbnbs, so I don't have the issues that these people at the lake communities have, but I find it to be, sort of burdensome. We pay a ton of money in tax, we pay a ton of money to Airbnb. I don't know. And, the hotel is not doing well. Clearly the ski slopes have not helped, or the weather. So, it's a vacation community. You need places to bring people in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? Just want to make sure I don't miss anyone. Seeing no more members of the public wishing to come forward, may I have a motion to close the floor to public comments?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving forward, minutes. May I have a motion to adopt the following minutes? January 1, 2020, regular meeting. January 13th, 2020, executive session. January 13th, 2020, regular meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auberger?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Weller? President Shortway?
Yes. Consent agenda. I'll read by title and explain what it is.
Hi, Mark.
Is she back?
He's here.
Mark's back?
Can you hear? Yeah, it's as loud as I can make it. Okay.
Okay, Resolution 20-62, refund overpayment, Block 529, Lot 117, Crologic. This resolution authorizes a refund overpayment. Resolution 20-63, resolution accepting the completion of road improvement project to Warwick Turnpike. This resolution accepts the completion of a road improvement project. Resolution 20-64, authorizing change order number 1 of contract for proposed improvements of milling and paving to Lake Pojung Road with Tilgon, New York. This resolution authorizes a change order for proposed improvements of milling and paving. Resolution number 20-65, authorizing change order number 1 of contract for proposed improvements of milling and paving to Higgins Drive and Walsh Way with Tilcon, New York, Inc. This resolution also authorizes a change order for proposed improvements of milling and paving. Resolution 20-66, authorizing the mayor and the township clerk to execute a contract with White Oak Drive Association, Inc., a qualified private community for services defined by New Jersey State as amended 40:6723.2. This resolution executes a contract with White Oak Drive Associates, Inc. Resolution 20-67, authorizing the mayor and the municipal clerk to sign an agreement with the County of Sussex for nutrition site premises for senior citizens. This resolution authorizes an agreement with the County of Sussex. Resolution 20-68, authorizing the collective bargaining agreement with American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees in Vernon Township. This resolution authorizes the collective bargaining agreement. Resolution number 20-69, resolution authorizing leasing of certain vehicles through Sourcewell National Cooperative number 060618-EFM through Enterprise Fleet Management Services, Inc., quote number 44520378-2020 Ford F-550. This resolution authorizes a lease for a Ford F-550. Resolution -20-70, resolution authorizing leasing of certain vehicles through Sourcewell Cooperative 060618 EFM through Enterprise Fleet Management Services, Inc., quote number 445285-2020 Ford F-350. This resolution authorizes a lease for a Ford F-350. Resolution number 20-71, resolution authorizing leasing of certain vehicles through Sourcewell National Cooperative number 060618-EFM through Enterprise Fleet Management Services, Inc., quote number 4452175-2020 Ford F-450. This resolution authorizes a lease for a Ford F-450. Resolution 20-72, resolution authorizing leasing of certain vehicles through Sourcewell National Cooperative number 060618 EFM through Enterprise Fleet Management Services, Inc., quote number 4452199-2020 Ford F-450. This resolution authorizes a lease for a Ford F-450. Resolution 20-73, authorizing alternate public defenders. This resolution authorizes an alternate public defender. Resolution 20-74, resolution of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey, directing the Township Land Use Board to prepare the Town Center redevelopment plan pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. This resolution directs the Township Land Use Board to prepare the Town Center redevelopment plan. Resolution 20-75, resolution authorizing and ratifying a memorandum of understanding with the National Winter Activity Center for use of the municipal parking lot. This resolution authorizes and ratifies a memorandum of understanding with the National Winter Activity Center for use of municipal parking lot. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 20-62 to 20-75?
I separated some of them out.
Please do.
I'm asking for Resolution 2066, 2069 through 2072, and 2074.
Any others? John, do you see?
Yeah, we need to 2063 and 2068.
So what does that leave us?
That leaves you with 2062, 64, 65, 67, 73, and 75, I think.
Is that correct, Marcy?
That's
May-
it. Yep.
May I have a motion to adopt those resolutions we just discussed?
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Yes.
And can I have a roll call vote for that, please?
Yeah. Vice President Warburger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Yeah.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway,
Yes. Okay, they pulled out these resolutions separately, so let's take them one by one.
I guess we...
You want to start with 63, I think was the first one?
Yeah, I'd like to table that one.
Which one is that? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Accepting the completion of road improvement project in Warwick Turnpike.
Is there, what's the reason for it? Is there...
Well, it's actually that one on here is Warwick Turnpike, but it's actually in the packet, it's for the solicitation for the Vernon Fire Department, which was already approved.
So it's a wrong number.
Yes.
All right, so we can pull that. Can we get a motion to table that to next week?
You
Motion.
made second.
Roll, do we need a roll call on that?
Yeah.
we could do a roll call. Vice President Warburger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Yeah.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes. So that's tabled. Next would be resolutions 20-66.
60.
Which
Yeah.
one?
66.
66.
That,
Okay.
my question on this is, how far back does this go, and how much are we reimbursing for
It
this?
start this year.
It'll start in 2020, the reimbursement?
It'll start for 2019 through 2020.
Okay. So they already, so we're accepting whatever they were charged last year, whatever they spent?
Yes.
So, or is that from the fall, from the winter of 2019? Is that,
It would be from the winter, starting in 2018 through 2019, and then this year.
so we're going back a full year?
Right, everybody submits.
So do we know how much that is?
I don't know. I have somebody from the community here.
Yeah, I'm just asking, just so we know, because it's showing an amount. And like I said, they should already have those numbers from the 18-19 winter. So,
They didn't submit them in for reimbursement yet.
okay.
Is our understanding that, it would probably be, can you give me a number on that? Yes.
I didn't hear what you were saying.
Question was, could you give us an approximate number of what the reimbursement would be for your community per year? What was it? Can you tell us what it was last year?
Reimbursement, we never got it.
No. What cost you last year?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The other lady, down the street, keeping those records.
Yeah, if it does help, I think we would have to apply our formula in, but I believe you only have 5 or 6 houses on your street, right?
No, there's about 18.
18, okay. And how long's the street? I'm just trying to
About-
gauge it.
Just about a half a mile. And we put in for this since 2010, but files were lost, and this gentleman's the only one who did anything. So, we're due.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a second? Roll call, please.
Vice President Orberger?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Weller? Council President Shortway?
Yes. Motion carries.
I'm sorry, motion carries.
Okay, next we have Resolution 69-72. Ms. Murphy, I believe you...
No, do we have 2068?
68?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to table that because we're missing a few of the pages on that.
Okay, in the written copies, we're missing a few extra pages. So can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sure. Vice President Orberger?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Weller? Council President Shortway?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Yes.
69-72?
Yeah, 2069 through 2072. These are on the leases of the vehicles, and I'm just questioning, I know one of them, we have a Ford F-550, an F-350, and 2 F-450s. Are these replacing certain vehicles? Are
Yes.
they're not in addition to? Because I know that...
We would be trading in vehicles for these, and we would get credit towards what we trade in to Enterprise.
Okay, so we're trading in, or we're not auctioning them, we're trading them in?
No, there's a vehicle earmarked for a trade-in. And the process is that from now on, we would be leasing when the vehicle started to hit a point where it started to decrease in value instead of waiting and holding on to it till when it was worth relatively nothing, and you would get very little at an auction sale.
Right. How many did we lease? Do you remember last year? Was it 2?
We didn't lease. This is the first year we're
Okay.
starting to do this.
Okay. All right, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sure. Vice President Orberger?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
And then I had a question on 2074.
Okay.
Do you recall when this was last done? And what will the cost be for this, for the land use board?
The land use board is preparing it, so it should be part of their budgeted amounts. I mean, it shouldn't, whatever their professional.
But we
input.
don't know when they last did it, do we?
I don't believe they've prepared a plan for this area.
Okay. All right. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auerberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, public hearing, second reading of ordinances. Ordinance 20-01, calendar year 2020 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank following New Jersey State Amended 40A-45.14. This ordinance establishes the cap bank or COLA ordinance for 2020. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 20-01?
Motion.
Second.
Anyone? Seeing no one? Did I see anyone? We're good? Okay. Seeing no one, members of the public wishing to come forward, may I have a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 20-1?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Auerberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes. May I have a motion to adopt 20-01?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auerberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes. Ordinance number 20-02, ordinance extending lease agreement between the Vernon Township Board of Education and the Township of Vernon, and sublease agreement between the Township of Vernon and the Dog Owners Gathering Society of Vernon Township for certain unimproved real property identified on the official tax maps of the Township of Vernon as Block 308, Lot 2, Old Block 133, 2.05. This ordinance extends the lease agreement between the Board of Ed, the Township, and the dogs for certain unimproved real property. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 20-02?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does anyone want to speak on this? Seeing no members of the public wishing to come forward, may I have a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 20-02?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 20-02?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Auerberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel,
Yes.
Councilmember Weller,
Yes.
Council President Shortway.
Yes. Ordinance number 20-03, ordinance amending the salary ordinance for non-union employees. This ordinance amends the salary ordinance for non-union employees. May I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 20-03?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of this ordinance? Seeing no members of the public wishing to come forward, may I have a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 20-03?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I don't
What,
hear Kelly.
closing it? Closing it to the vote?
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt 20-03.
I'd like to make a motion to table this. I have a lot of information that neither council members Weller nor Van Tassel are here to hear. One of them in particular is actually, when you look at the ordinance, we have in here land use department.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it, please. Thank you.
That's our new system. Land use department head. We don't have a land use department head. We have a land use administrator. And at some point, that title is wrong on this ordinance. So that needs to be changed, because actually right now between land use and building and zoning, there is no department head at all. So that's actually just, and like I said, it's been that way for a few years, but it was something that just kind of came to light. The other thing is, I'm looking to table this because, as former council member Ohms did come up and stated we just did this, I have, if everybody would like to hear my long dissertation about this right now, I'll give it to you, unless you'd like to just have me table it and ask to table it and do it next time, at the next meeting.
Second on the table.
Let's have a vote. Do you want to table it? Let's go by roll call, please.
Sure. Vice President Auberger?
Yes, the table.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Van Tassel?
No.
Councilmember Weller?
No.
Council President Shortway?
No.
Okay, so
We'll vote.
I'll try to speak clearly, okay?
Just, can they hear?
No.
They can't hear, so they're not going to hear.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
I know, but they're not going to hear. So
But the
there's,
council needs to hear you on that phone.
they're not going to hear it.
Do you want to sit closer? Do you want to sit?
No, well, I'm going to go sit closer to the phone so they can hear me? I don't think so.
Just trying to make it easier.
Yeah. So, well, they already made it easy when they voted. So, first of all, this ordinance is wrong because the land use says land use department head. It should state land use administrator. So there's an error in this ordinance. But what I wanted to just review, and like I said, Councilmember Weller never had the opportunity to review this. I went through this last year. We had a vote last year on this. It passed 3-2. When Mr. Shortway was mayor, he vetoed it. Through some administrative reasons, the veto failed, so the ordinance passed. But what happened in 2018 is our former CFO advised us that we had about 5 or 6 different salary range ordinances. So every time we turned around, we were increasing one, changing one, doing whatever. Her recommendation was to take all the ordinances, put them in one lump ordinance, put them all together, and based on the employees that worked here at that time and based on the salaries that they were at, she devised a 5-year plan. So we introduced an ordinance that reflected those numbers. So for instance, our former tax assessor, just bear with me as I find it on here. Okay, our former tax assessor, her salary was somewhere, I don't know, she was somewhere around $97,000, $98,000. So the range for that position, because, and this spreadsheet was by name and position, so it was specific. So the range on her was for 75 to 110, which was recommended. Because if you followed it out 5 years, if she had stayed and not retired, she would have been at 107,000. So it made sense to move that scale to 110. We hired a new tax assessor last year. That tax assessor started at $78,000. One of the other things we did is we hired a new CFO. Our former CFO left to go work at the county mid-2018 or so. I believe she was somewhere in the range of 92, 93,000. Her range also went to 110 because of where it would have placed her in 5 years. Our new CFO was hired at 78,000. After she received her credentials, there was a $5,000 increase. Administration asked the council to increase the salary by 17,000. We did not agree. Then it was 10,000. We did not agree. We finally agreed to the $5,000 increase. So we also took that salary last year, or that range, and we pulled that one back too, because there was no reason to leave it out at 110. And the other we did was with the court administrator. Donna, that retired after, I don't know, forever, 25 years or so. Her salary was higher. So again, we pulled those ranges back. It got to the point that I was actually accused of, I don't know, discriminating against a particular gender. I look at it and say, I think it's pretty good that Vernon has so many women in these positions. But to take these ranges and to just arbitrarily raise them, it makes no sense. Councilmember Allberger, at the last meeting, I believe he asked, why are we addressing this again? We just did this last year. And I believe, and if I'm wrong, please tell me, but Mr. Shortway said to give the mayor the ability to give out raises. Well, I have actually, Ms. Ohms asked, I have all their pays listed here. I have it listed and I show the ranges. And by all means, I'm not picking on the chief of police, but even the chief of police is at, and I'm not picking on any particular employee, but the chief is at 156.5. That was the starting. Okay. The range that it currently sits goes to 175. What's being proposed is to bring it to 185. Well, the way I look at it, if I calculate out, according to the contract, it's 1.5% a year. That's correct? I think it's not more than that. So in 2023, the chief would be at 166,000. There's no reason to bring it up to 185. There's no reason to bring up, like I said, the let's say the construction code official. The census is showing that last year, and again, I'm going by these documents. I could have written down a wrong number, but I'm showing construction code official was at 81,183. The range right now goes from 65 to 90. Why would we bring it to 110? If they're getting 2% a year, there's plenty of money left in there to be able to get that 2%. Again, like I said, our chief financial officer last year was at 84,660. The range goes from 75 to 95. Why are we bringing it to 110? Recreation, 2017, and like I said, it's nothing. I'm not picking on any employee. They're all great. Recreation in 2017, Harry Mayer then asked to promote, and I believe that person was brought up, which I agreed with wholeheartedly, and the way we were saving money, it went from 30,000 as an aide to 45,000. So that was in 2017. On the census, that employee is now at 50,000 in 2 years. So the range is 45 to 65. Do we really need to raise it to 75?
No. Please.
Pardon, Harry, but I went through a lot sitting there,
Well,
so.
we're trying to stop that,
Yeah, well,
aren't we? To have some order in the council room, so
Hey.
let's have the order.
it's business administrator. Last year was at 90,203. Okay, the range is 80 to 110 right now. It's being brought up to 120. Confidential aid to mayor. Last year's census, $60,387. The range is 40 to 65. Why are we bringing it to 70? I mean, this is, and I can go one after the other. So, like I said, it's nothing, tax collector. Last year was 71,632. The range is 65 to 80. They want to bring it to 90. I mean, I don't know how many of you are getting a raise each year, never mind everything else. So, and this is, and I'm not begrudging anybody a raise. And as a matter of fact, the 4 statutory employees, which are the clerk, the tax collector, tax assessor, and CFO, must get their raise every year. That's statutory. If other employees, if the unions are getting their raises, they must get theirs. So we cannot keep it. But to have a comment to say, so the mayor can give out raises, and you can see how the votes are going to go. Again, I'm not picking on anybody, but if the ranges are here and the numbers get put in the budget and the mayor wants to give those raises and there's 3 votes, they're getting the raises. And by the way, the recreation director last year, there was an attempt to give a $13,000 raise. I mean, so I fought this, and the council, like I said, we asked, and we didn't pull back many ranges. We only pulled them back just to try to be a little more conscientious about where raises were going and where the limits. And I tried to explain last year, this spreadsheet from 2018 was position and employee generated. So if they were maybe brand new, maybe they were, based on their experience, they were at the lower range. So I have emails from the mayor last year saying why increases shouldn't be made or why we shouldn't have been changing the ordinance. And it went back to, I think it was 2010, 11, 12, and 13, where some department heads did not get raises. Well, Council President Shortway was actually on the council in 2010 and part of 11. There was a salary ordinance that went in, I think it was in 2012. It was either 2011 or 2012, and there was a petition and a vote, and it failed. And once that failed, raises could not be given for 2 years because that freezes them. So when you have an ordinance, and there may even be with a resolution. I think there's something with the resolution that you can even petition that. So what could be happening is employees that could be getting 2% increases are in jeopardy of getting 0 because if a petition is put out, that ordinance is kind of frozen for 2 years. But I don't see, and I'm going through this because, and I sat, believe me, a long time going through it, but I don't want to have to keep revisiting this. I mean, it's, the hours here, which I've said, are 8:30 to 4, an hour for lunch, holidays, benefits. I'm being told that, if we're not nice to the employees, they're going to quit. That's my whole thing here. But like I said, as I'm reviewing it, it's even wrong. But nobody seems to care. It's wrong. I mean, how are you going to pay this person? We don't even have that position. And like I said, as we find errors, it's best to correct them. But to just keep doing this, And since the mayor's here, I can say if the council passes it, I hope you don't sign it. Because it still takes 4 votes, 4 council votes to override that. So, I'm done.
May I?
Of course.
Along with Jean, I looked. We have close to, in most cases, a $10,000 buffer between where employee salaries from last year are to where the top of the current ranges are. I think we have a responsibility to our employees. I also think we have a responsibility to the taxpayers. That there's no reason that this has to be bumped up at this time. Everybody is well within. And if it goes through, it just shows once again, government doesn't care. They just are going to spend wherever they want, not where it's needed. And that's it.
if I could, since I have the information here someplace, we also, I did ask, we had a brief meeting right before the reorganization meeting because we were just going over the agenda. It was Mayor Burrell, Harry was there, he was the former mayor, our business administrator was there. And I asked because we've shifted some employees within the building. And when I asked a question, I was told that's a personnel matter, and I couldn't be asking it. Well, to me, it's a budget matter. So from what I understand, because I never really got an answer, so I'll ask it in public, we took an employee that was a secretary in the police department and moved that employee into fire prevention. We took the employee from fire prevention and we split that employee's time between recreation and the building department. And the new hire will be, not sure, in the police department. So it makes it seem like this seamless hire, like nobody really sees it happening. But there we have an employee, an extra employee. And why do I say extra? Because in 2017, or even, I'm not even sure if it was 16, when the changes happened in recreation, we did send programs to the PAL to take some of the burden off. Now, I know that we've increased programs in recreation, and it's great. They're doing a lot of great things. But we also have a recreation board. We did not have a recreation board when we had 2 employees. But like I said, so here we are. We have the part-time employees. I mean, and I think it just kind of goes to show, it's like, well, we'll just do it. And it just kind of happened at the end of the year and just move forward. We don't have a budget yet, but I guess we know it's just going to pass. But like I said, when I asked the question, it's a personnel matter. I mean, I guess if I asked, who are they and everything else, but that's unfortunately that's what is happening. And then there was another, actually in January, we had another employee that went from part-time last year to full-time in our finance department. And I have an email. We were discussing the position because it was an accounting assistant position that was part-time. And administration wanted to make this position full-time. Okay, we would have had 4 full-time employees. So we were asking, how many employees will there be? We really weren't getting any answer other than we want this person to be full-time. Councilmember Allberger, and then there was going to be a retirement. Councilmember Allberger said he thought that we should have a part-time accounting assistant and a part-time accounting clerk. Well, that didn't happen. And I'm not sure where the confusion came in, but I had an email sent to me from the CFO and asking the council some questions. And that came on January 15th last year. And I responded on the 17th. And if you I won't read the long email, but yes, it came on January 15th from the CFO, and it was to the council, and we were talking about the temporary budget, and it was as per our discussion, I'd like to put together a resolution for department heads, mayor, et cetera, and that was for salaries. And for each department head, or do you want them separate or one general resolution? And then in addition, this is when we were hiring a new deputy court administrator, and the court administrator was being put into that place as a promotion. There was an amended salary ordinance, and the amended salary ordinance was for the proposed new accounting clerk, or accounting assistant, I'm sorry. And then it said, lastly, they conducted interviews for part-time positions that they spoke about for general clerical. Wanted to know how we would handle that. So my answer 2 days later is the council will not consider voting on salary resolutions for department heads, mayor, council, or any other employee not covered under a union contract until the 2019 budget is adopted. Please provide separate resolutions for the court administrator and deputy court administrator. Like I said, these were new positions being filled, so that's why that was happening. Prior to submitting any amendment to the salary ordinance, please let me know what hourly rate was used to calculate the accounting assistant's proposed salary. The council is not prepared to vote on any additional part-time positions until the accounting assistant position has been resolved. February 5th, Harry, then mayor, sends an email and says, I've appointed XYZ employee, has been appointed to the Group 3 union position senior accounting clerk. Okay, I never got an answer to my email as to what the hourly rate. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm going to take a guess and say, again, nothing against an employee, talking about position. The position paid, I think it was like $27 an hour. When I looked at the amount that when the position was being brought to full-time, it also it seemed to be bringing the hourly pay up to like $29 an hour. So to me, it's like either you're making it full-time, it shouldn't exceed, you shouldn't be getting a full-time and a raise. So that's why I was questioning, and I spoke to all the council members about this. It wasn't something I was doing. And after that happened, and this was during public session, this happened, we were told that the employee would probably be working outside of their job description. My answer was then take some of those responsibilities away because they were going to be asking for a desk audit now that they were in the union. So they did ask for a desk audit, okay? And now their pay is much higher, but I guarantee you that the council is being blamed for that. And so on February 27th of last year, I asked our clerk at the time if she could please forward my email to the rest of the council. I said there seemed to be some confusion about the accounting assistant position at the February 15th budget meeting. The council never rejected the full-time accounting assistant position. Below was my response sent to the CFO on January 17th. Please forward this to the council so they can see that I addressed each one of the CFO's questions. But, so now, with what's going on here, with this push for this salary range ordinance, I see the same thing. I see the same thing happening. And like I said, I just urge you to vote no, because there's no reason to put them through. Everybody's going to get their raises. There's plenty of room within this salary range ordinance, and the only reason anybody would be pushing for this is so they can go out and hand a larger raise out that I don't think is necessary at this time.
I am going to support it because under this form of government, the mayor sets the salaries. He needs the tools and the opportunity to do it. If he chooses to veto it, fine, then I'll support the mayor. I know with the building department, those inspectors, we could not even get anybody to apply because of the salaries. We've increased their hours. And I was part of that discussion before I was no longer mayor. So under this form of government, I am going to support the mayor. If he chooses to veto it, fine, I'll support that also. But he's in charge of day-to-day operations. The mayor sets the salaries. And if you want to do it, start looking at what some of the other salaries, how they compare to West Milford and Jefferson, because I know they're different counties, reasonable size and population, our people are down below. I know the employees are our greatest expense, but they are our most valuable resource. They serve you. And if the mayor chooses to give them raises, fine. He's in charge of operations, day-to-day operations. That's why I will support it.
And the mayor cannot give out a raise without the vote of the council. And like I said, there were raises given out last year. And we did that with recreation. We did that with our DPW director. And we did that with our CFO because of basically their scope of work and them and their credentials that they were to achieve. But it just poses, it gives an opportunity for things to happen that are pretty much, I'll say, are reckless. And somewhere in here, I even went to the extent, I don't know if Councilmember Carreri's here, but this was one of his first tasks when he came here, was that I actually went through and I pulled out all the newspaper articles. I researched all the towns around here that had increases because I was being given information on different positions. And, you know, we have, they ranged in different ranges, but it also had to do with their years of experience. So I ask you, when we had the salary range, like I said, and I'm just saying for CFO, someone that achieved their credentials, they were at 78, they got a $5,000 raise for getting their credentials. I certainly could not see $17,000 to bring them from 78 to 95,000. That was, you know, and I will tell you that that's what I see happening. I hope I'm wrong, you know, and I'll probably be doing the same thing. And I actually addressed some of these issues with the mayor. I brought this to him, and when the mayor asked me about other areas, I pulled out all the articles that I sat and went through and printed off and highlighted. I went to, you know, the state site just to show, to pull up their salaries. So, but to say that people are unpaid or not paid enough or they're going to leave, you know, I don't buy it. So.
John, do you have anything more?
I don't have any more.
Does anybody on the phone line have anything more? Folks, can we please keep it down so we can all hear? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is Councilmember Van Tassel on the phone the whole time? Marcy?
Yes, Councilmember.
No, I said,
Fantastic.
was he on the phone the whole time?
Yes, Councilmember Weller had to hang up.
All right. Go ahead and vote.
Back, move to a vote. Roll call, please.
What are you voting on?
Well, he has to
On-
make a
On the ordinance, what's the number now? I moved my page.
2003.
2003, thank you. Ordinance amending salary ordinance for non-union employees. This ordinance amends the salary ordinance for non-union employees. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice President Auerberger?
Did you have a motion and a second?
Do we have a motion?
No. I don't
Mark?
know.
We have a, no, I'm sorry, we have a motion to, we had the motion and the vote to table. We didn't have a,
The motion
And-
to the table was defeated, so there needs to be a motion to either adopt the ordinance.
We have no motion here. Mark, are you going to make a motion?
Mark, Councilmember Van Tassel made a motion.
No motion, no vote.
Well, you need
No
a second.
second.
You can second it.
No second.
You're not going to second?
Not this time.
Okay.
No, with Kelly not able to vote,
Then it fails.
then it fails. We'll have to redo it.
So it fails, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm just making sure it's on the record. I don't want it to come back and say, well, we didn't get a second. I'm just,
It fails.
okay. So,
Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, ordinance 20-04. Ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County Sussex, State of New Jersey, creating Chapter 476 of the Municipal Code of the Township of Vernon entitled Short-Term Rentals. This ordinance creates Chapter 476 of the Township Code entitled Short-Term Rentals. May I have, let me see, 204. I'd like to make some amendments. I think, Gene, these are the ones you brought up,
Oh, I
those different
I
points?
think you have to open it to the public
Okay.
first.
May I have a motion to open up to the public hearing for ordinance 20-04?
Motion.
I think they were all,
Sorry, motion.
motion, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anybody like to speak on it? The short-term rentals again?
Is it possible to hear your amendments first and then speak?
Well,
Whatever the council decides to do, I was going to
but
put
you're
them in
going to,
first.
you're going to be bringing it back anyway for
We're gonna
introduction.
bring it back, yes.
It'll be brought back for introduction, so they'll be on.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Rubin from Highland Lakes, New Jersey, and it's almost an annual pilgrimage for me to come up and implore the council to enhance the sound system in this room. While I anticipate that you can all hear what the public commentary is, most of it falls on deaf ears to the audience. And that's really counteractive to transparency. If you want everybody to hear what's going on, I would suggest, and I understand that these are mostly for the recording system and not for, I don't see any speakers working or anything like that. This is the worst, what would you call it, the worst audibility I've ever enhanced, ever seen in a public forum. So I'm asking once again to please consider doing something about it, okay? It's been years, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello again, Sandy Ohms from Vernon. The short-term rental, I don't know why everybody's so resistant to a work session. I was up there for 4 years. On some of these big issues, I was calling for a work session, and no one would agree to it. We've been working on this short-term rental for, what did you say, since
It's over
last-
20 months we've been working on it and changing it.
And it came for first reading, then we tabled it to first reading again, amendments, tabled it. These poor people keep on coming out for all these readings, saying the same thing over and over again, when a work session could solve that, and then you can do an ordinance and be done with it. But going back and forth and torturing these people, and they don't know what their fate is, are we doing it or we're not doing it, is ridiculous. We need work sessions. My last day on the council, I was begging Howard Burrell that he will need to do work sessions on these big issues. We've had so many, and we never do a work session. So thank you. Please consider it.
Anyone else?
Sally Rico Vernon, I'm just going to reiterate what I said earlier, and I'm double down on what Sandra Ohms just said. If there is ever an issue that calls for a work session, this is one of them, okay? There's just too much involved here, Harry, too much. I want you to end up successful with this ordinance, and I think the way to get successful with it is to get all the input before you move forward. I mean, enforcement's going to be an issue. I see a lot of issues with it that have answers somewhere. I'm not so sure that they're all in hand yet. You know, I think a work session is definitely in order.
Thank you.
Rich Spurl, are we going to adopt this ordinance tonight, or are we going to table it?
I'm going to propose 4 amendments to it. If the council votes for it, we would look to adopt it next council meeting.
Okay, because there's a number of things in going through this proposed ordinance that I have found problems with. And, you know, once again, as everybody has said, we're looking at something that, you know, I'm trying to figure a good way. You know, it's been going on for 20 months, as you say, but it's been back and forth, but the public hasn't really had a chance to talk about it. One is, you know, about who is going to be able to rent. Is it going to be a principal home or not? That's a question I have. It's a minor thing, but there's a place where it says 24 contact information instead of hour. Proof of general liability insurance. Do we require that of any other public, anybody else? You know, that's my question. You know, hotels, are they required to have a minimum? B&Bs, you know, I don't know. And another one that says, occupants of a short-term rental property shall provide the township with their home address, license plate number, year and make of automobile, copy of driver's license, telephone number, and address of the short-term rental property that is being occupied. Suppose somebody is going to be coming here on Saturday. Who are they going to contact? And suppose they're from the city and they rent a car. they won't have that information until Saturday. So where will this come from? That's just part of little things that we have seen. So that's why I was asking the question about whether it's going to be adopted tonight or not.
It won't be adopted tonight.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Because that wouldn't be it.